Most people think you need $100,000 or more saved up to get into property investing. That's wrong. And today, I'm going to show you how everyday Australians are building serious cash flow using a strategy called rent-to-rent co-living without needing to buy a single property. No massive deposit, no dealing with banks for loans, just a proven system that works in the Australian market. Over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through the entire blueprint, step by step, from finding properties, pitching landlords, setting up rooms, filling them fast, to managing risk and scaling from $50,000 to $100,000 in annual cash flow. This is the exact process people in our community are using. So grab a coffee, take notes, and let's dive in. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is rent to rent? It's simple. You lease a property from a landlord at a fixed monthly or weekly rate. You then rent that property out, usually by the room, to multiple tenants at a higher combined rate. The difference between what you pay the landlord and what you collect from tenants is you're not buying the property, you're not getting a mortgage, you're just acting as the middleman who creates value. Here's an example. You lease a 5-bedroom house from a landlord for $800 per week. You convert it into quality co-living accommodation, clean, safe, well-managed. You rent each of the 5 rooms for $300 per week. That's $1,500 per week in rental income, minus the $800 you pay the landlord. You're left with $700 per week gross profit. After costs like utilities, insurance, cleaning, and maintenance, let's say $200 per week, you're netting around $500 per week, and that's over $26,000 per year from one property you don't own. And the best part? Your startup cost is typically just $20,000 to $30,000 to furnish and set up the property. Not $150,000 for a deposit, not a 30-year mortgage, just $20,000 to $30,000. That's the power of rent-to-rent. Why Perth in Australia is the perfect market. Now you might be thinking, does this actually work in Australia? The answer is yes, and right now the conditions are perfect. Let me show you why, using Perth as an example, though this applies to most major Australian cities. Number one, the rental crisis. Vacancy rates in Perth are sitting at under 1%. That means for every 100 rental properties, less than 1 is vacant. People are desperate for housing, and that demand isn't going away anytime soon. Number two, strong employment in key sectors. Perth has thousands of FIFO workers, healthcare professionals, hospitality staff, and young professionals who need affordable quality accommodation close to work. These people don't want to rent an entire house. They want a clean, safe room in a good location at a reasonable price. That's exactly what co-living provides. Number three, high room rents. In decent suburbs close to the CBD or employment hubs, individual rooms are renting for $350 to $480 per week. When you multiply that by 5 or 6 rooms, your income per property is significantly higher than what a traditional landlord would get renting to one family. Number four, landlords are stressed. Many landlords are tired. They're dealing with difficult tenants, vacancy periods, maintenance headaches, and regulatory changes. When you offer them guaranteed rent, a longer lease, and professional management, they often jump at the opportunity. So, the market conditions, demand, pricing, landlord frustration are all aligned right now for rent-to-rent to work exceptionally well in Australia. And Perth is just one example. The same dynamics exist in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Adelaide. How to find landlords and properties. All right, so how do you actually find properties and landlords who will say yes? Here's the process. Step 1, start with rental listing sites. Jump on realestate.com.au, Domain, or Gumtree. Search for 4, 5, or 6 bedroom houses in your target suburbs. Look for properties that have been listed for 2+ weeks. That's a sign the landlord is getting frustrated and might be open to alternatives. Step 2, target properties with the right profile. You're looking for 4+ bedrooms, good location, near transport, jobs, amenities, decent condition, not requiring major renovations. Avoid luxury homes and avoid dumps. You want the solid middle market. Step 3, contact the agent directly. Don't apply through the standard tenant application. That's a waste of time. Instead, call or email the agent and say something like this. Hi, agent name. I'm looking at property address. I run a professional co-living business, and I'm interested in taking this property on a 2 to 3 year lease at the listed rent, with guaranteed payments and full insurance. Would the landlord be open to discussing this? Professional, direct, value-focused. Step 4, build relationships with agents. Once you've done 1 or 2 deals, agents will start bringing properties to you. They love reliable operators who pay on time and don't cause problems. You become an asset to them. Step 5, go direct to landlords. Once you've got some experience, you can approach landlords directly through Facebook groups, letterbox drops in target suburbs, or networking. But when you're starting out, agents are the easiest path. How to pitch guaranteed rent to landlords. Now let's talk about the pitch, because this is where most beginners mess up. You need to frame your offer as a win for the landlord, not just a win for you. Here's what landlords care about: guaranteed rent, no vacancy risk, longer lease terms, 2 to 3 years of certainty, professional management, you handle everything, property condition, manage co-living stays, cleaner than typical rentals, no tenant drama, you deal with any issues, not them. So when you're pitching, emphasize these benefits. Here's a simple pitch framework. I run a professional co-living business here in Perth. What I do is take properties on long-term leases and convert them into quality shared accommodation for working professionals. For you as the landlord, this means guaranteed rent every week, whether the rooms are full or not. A 2 to 3 year lease, so you've got long-term certainty. We fully insure the property and handle all maintenance coordination. You don't deal with tenants. We manage everything. We operate as a registered company, and I'm happy to provide references from other landlords we work with. Would you be open to discussing this arrangement? That's it. Clean, professional, benefit-driven. And here's the secret. You're not asking for a favor. You're offering a solution. Most landlords will say yes if you position it correctly. Property suitability checklist. Not every property works for rent-to-rent. You need to be strategic, and here's your checklist for evaluating properties. 4+ bedrooms. The more rooms, the higher your income. Good location, close to jobs, transport, amenities, low maintenance. You don't want a renovation project. Multiple bathrooms, ideally 2+, shared housing needs. This separate living areas, so tenants aren't on top of each other. Parking available, makes rooms easier to rent. Weekly rent makes sense. You need healthy margin after costs. Zoning allows co-living. Check with your local council. If a property ticks 7 out of 8 boxes, it's worth pursuing. If it only ticks 4 or 5, move on. Don't force deals that don't fit the model. Step-by-step setup cost breakdown. All right, let's talk money. What does it actually cost to set up your first rent-to-rent property? Here's a realistic breakdown. Furniture and fit out, $8,000 to $12,000. You're furnishing 4 to 6 bedrooms plus common areas, beds, desks, wardrobes, couches, dining table, kitchen basics. You don't need luxury. You need clean, functional, and durable. Think Kmart, IKEA, Facebook Marketplace. Bond and advance rent, $3,000 to $5,000. Most landlords will want 4 weeks bond plus 2 to 4 weeks rent in advance. Budget for this upfront. Insurance, $1,000 to $3,000 per year. You need landlord insurance and potentially contents insurance. This is non-negotiable. Protect yourself and the property. Utilities. Setup, $500. Connection fees for electricity, gas, water, internet. One-time costs, marketing and admin, $500. Listing ads, photos, tenant screening software, accounting setup. Total startup cost, $20,000 to $30,000. That's it. That's what it takes to get your first property up and running. Compare that to a $100,000 plus deposit to buy an investment property. And you can see why this model is so accessible. And here's the kicker. If you do this right, you'll have your $20,000 to $30,000 back within 6 to 12 months through cash flow. Then you can reinvest that capital into property number 2, number 3, and so on. How to fill rooms fast. So you've got the property, it's furnished. Now you need tenants. Here's how to fill rooms fast. Platform number 1, flatmates.com.au. This is the #1 platform for shared housing in Australia. List your rooms here with great photos and clear descriptions. Highlight the benefits: clean, safe, professionally managed, great location, all bills included. Platform number 2, Facebook groups. Join local rental and share accommodation groups. Post your listings with photos. Engage with people looking for rooms. Platform number 3, Gumtree. Still widely used for rentals. List here as well. Platform number 4, word of mouth. Once you've got your first few tenants in, ask them to refer friends or colleagues. Quality tenants know other quality tenants. Pricing strategy. Price your rooms competitively, slightly below market rate for your first property to fill fast. Once you've got momentum and good reviews, you can adjust pricing upward. don't just take anyone, screen tenants properly, employment verification, reference checks, clear house rules and lease agreements, quality tenants equals less turnover equals more profit, timeline. If you're in a high demand market like Perth, you should be able to fill 4 to 6 rooms within 2 to 4 weeks. Risk management and legal compliance. Let's talk about risk because this is a business and you need to protect yourself. Risk number 1, vacancy. What if rooms don't fill? Mitigation, choose high demand locations, price competitively, market aggressively, have a buffer fund to cover 1 to 2 months of landlord rent. Risk number 2, bad tenants. What if someone trashes a room or doesn't pay? Mitigation, screen thoroughly, use written agreements, have insurance, build bonds into your tenant agreements. Risk number 3, landlord changes their mind. What if the landlord wants to sell or move back in? Mitigation, always get a written lease with a minimum 2-year term. Include clauses that protect your investment if the lease is terminated early. Risk number 4, legal compliance. What if you're operating outside the rules? Mitigation, do your homework, check zoning, understand tenancy laws in your state, get proper insurance, operate as a registered business, key compliance points. Get written permission to sublet, this must be in your lease. Check local council rules, some areas have restrictions on number of unrelated tenants, get proper insurance, landlord insurance plus public liability, use legal tenancy agreements, protect yourself and your tenants, pay your taxes, this is a business, report your income properly. If you're unsure about any of this, get advice from a property lawyer or experienced mentor. Don't cut corners, do it properly from day one. Profit example, $500 to $1,500 per week. All right, let's get specific with the numbers. Here are 3 realistic profit scenarios. Scenario 1, conservative, 4 rooms, rent to landlord, $650 per week. Room rent, 4 rooms times $320 per week equals $1,280 per week. Gross profit, $630 per week. Costs, utilities, insurance, cleaning, maintenance, $150 per week. Net profit, around $480 per week or $24,960 per year. Scenario 2, mid-range, 5 rooms. Rent to landlord, $850 per week. Room rent, 5 rooms times $350 per week equals $1,750 per week. Gross profit, $900 per week. Costs, $200 per week. Net profit, around $700 per week or $36,400 per year. Scenario 3, strong, 6 rooms. Rent to landlord, $1,000 per week. Room rent, 6 rooms times $380 per week equals $2,280 per week. Gross profit, $1,280 per week. Cost, $250 per week. Net profit, around $1,030 per week or $53,500 per year. Now, these are realistic examples based on current Perth market rates. Your actual numbers will vary depending on location, room quality, and how well you manage costs. But the point is this, even at the conservative end, you're generating $25,000 a year from one property with a $15,000 to $20,000 startup investment. That's a 50% plus annual return on your capital. Compare that to what your savings account is paying you, and if you scale to 2, 3, or 4 properties, you're looking at $50,000, $70,000, even $100,000 plus in annual cash flow. 12-month scaling path to $50,000 to $100,000 cash flow. So let's talk about scaling, because one property is great, but the real wealth is built when you scale to multiple properties. Here's a realistic 12-month roadmap. Months 1 to 3, secure and cash flow property number 1. Find your first deal. Set it up, fill the rooms, get it stabilized. Let's say you're netting $450 per week from this property. Months 4 to 6, add property number 2. Now that you've proven the model, you're more confident. Agents know you, landlords trust you. You secure property number 2 using a combination of cash flow from property number 1, savings, or a small business loan, maybe a partner or investor. Property number 2 is also netting you $450 per week. You're now at $900 per week or around $46,800 per year. Months 7 to 9, add property number 3, same process. You've now got systems. You know what works. You move faster. Property number 3 adds another $450 per week. You're now at $1,350 per week or around $70,200 per year. Months 10 to 12. By this point, you might hire a part-time property manager or VA to help with operations. Property number 4 brings you to $1,800 per week, or around $93,600 per year in net cash flow. That's nearly $100,000 a year in passive income within 12 months. And you did it without buying a single property. Now, is this easy? No, it requires work, focus, and execution. But is it possible? Absolutely. People in our community are doing this right now. The key is starting with one property, proving the model, then systematically scaling. Common mistakes to avoid. Before we wrap up, let me save you some pain by highlighting the mistakes I see beginners make. Mistake number 1, overpaying for rent. Don't get desperate and agree to rent that's too high. The deal has to work for you. Mistake number 2, skipping compliance checks. Always check zoning, get written permission to sublet, and get proper insurance. Mistake number 3, poor tenant screening. One bad tenant can cost you thousands. Screen properly. Mistake number 4, underfurnishing or overfurnishing. Keep it simple, functional, and clean. Don't cheap out, but don't go luxury either. Mistake number 5, no buffer fund. Always have 2 to 3 months of landlord rent saved as a buffer for vacancies or unexpected costs. Mistake number 6, trying to scale too fast. Master one property before adding more. Don't spread yourself too thin. Mistake number 7, not treating it like a business. This is a business. Track your numbers, pay your taxes, operate professionally. Avoid these mistakes and you'll be ahead of 90% of beginners. All right, let's recap what we've covered. Rent-to-rent lets you build cash flow without buying property. Australia, especially Perth, is the perfect market right now. You find properties through agents and listing sites. You pitch guaranteed rent and professional management to landlords. Startup costs are $20,000 to $30,000 per property. You can net $500 to $1,500 per week per property. In 12 months, you can scale to $50,000 to $100,000 annual cash flow. This model works. The opportunity is real. The question is, are you ready to take action? All right, so there you have it, the complete blueprint for starting a rent-to-rent HMO business in Australia. Everything I just showed you is being used by real people right now to build serious cash flow and take control of their financial future. But here's the thing, knowing the model is one thing, executing it is another. And that's where most people get stuck. They know what to do, but they don't have the right systems, the support, or the accountability to actually do it. And that's why we've created Anchor Point Property Co., the Academy. Inside the Academy, you get step-by-step training on finding deals, pitching landlords, and setting up properties. Done-for-you templates, lease agreements, tenancy contracts, feasibility calculators. You get live coaching calls where you can ask questions and get real-time support. A community of investors doing the same thing you are. Deal sourcing support. We help you find properties and analyze deals. And ongoing mentorship from people who've built multiple six-figure rent-to-rent portfolios. We don't just teach you the theory, we help you execute. And if you're serious about building cash flow this year, not in 5 years, not someday, but this year, then click the link below and join our free community or book a call with our team. We'll walk you through exactly how the Academy works, answer your questions, and help you figure out if this is the right fit for you. There's no pressure, there's no hard sell, there's only clarity. The link's in the description, book your call now or jump into the community and let's get you started. Thanks for watching and I'll see you inside.